darkest part of the Bureau's history.
Given your expertise in the craft of editing, how do you think it has changed the way you look at the world? And how do you think it helps you in crafting stories when you are in the director's chair?
It's been significant in helping me craft stories, because every time I'm out there on the field, I'm thinking like an editor in terms of what kind of questions to ask, what I'm looking for in terms of the answers, what kind of footage do I think I need to help shape my story in the edit room. And then when I go in the edit room, I'm always thinking about the different ways to put the sequences together. So it's been I think a major component in shaping my directorial career, that I've had so many years sitting at an editing machine, editing so many different types of films, from all types of documentaries to the feature films, to the mini-series films, so When the Levees Broke, to Sammy Davis, to Mo Better Blues. I mean, just the variety of films I've edited, I think have been tremendously informative in helping shape my perspective as a director.
Can I point out one extraordinary piece of editing that I noticed from one of your pieces? Sure. I'm a big Frank Sinatra fan, and I've seen All or Nothing at All a couple of times. And that ending sequence, so precise and so beautiful. I mean, it almost, brings his voice into the world and lets it echo and echo and echo. Extraordinary piece of work, sir. Really.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you.
In your incredible and fascinating portrait of Sammy Davis Jr. and I Gotta Be Me, did you find that the paths he chose and the decisions he made, working between his career in sort of white show business and his soul of being Black, caused the same emotional distress almost that was felt by Dr. King?
The challenge for Sammy, like for a lot of Black people who are looking to be embraced by the mainstream, is that you have to walk this line of duality. You're trying to be accepted, at the same time you're trying to hold on to who you are, and you give up a little of each side of you. It's a big challenge, and sometimes he handled it well, sometimes he didn't handle it well, as far as I was concerned, which a lot of us have to go through. So, it was tricky. I mean, because again, it was showing some of the warts and all of Sammy Davis Jr. Even though he was a phenomenal performer, he had a lot of concerns and issues. I mean, in one moment he's embracing the Black community, and then another moment the Black community rejects him. It's a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, did you have that structure where you put it, you were putting him into categories? Did you have that structure before you started it? As far as,
No, it was kind of in the script. This is one of the few times we had a writer who would come up with a script.
Okay.
And he had sort of intimated that should be the approach, but then we just took it to another level.
It was really, again, a great documentary, sir.
Thank you.
In your lifetime growing up within Dr. King's influence and sphere, what personal connection did you have to him as a young man? And how did that connection help you in telling his story, both in Eyes on the Prize and this documentary?
I never met Dr. King. I was never at the March on Washington, but April 2nd, 1968, I just turned 18 years old. 2 days later, April 4th, I'm at home in my parents' apartment. And Walter Cronkite, as you know, the nation's spokesman person at that time, breaks into the news and says that Dr. Martin Luther King was just assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. Man, that was like, whoa. And this was the 60s, remember? 5 years before, John F. Kennedy, the man who was basically Camelot with his wife Jackie, was assassinated. Less than 3 months later, after Dr. King's assassination, Bobby Kennedy's assassinated. Wow, what a tumultuous period in American history. And what's happened to me.
So many body blows to the consciousness of the nation.
Exactly. So what's happened to me now, Patrick, here I am in the twilight of my career, as I like to say. And I'm reflecting back now on these years where I was a part of that history, not deep inside it, but I was there on the edges of it. So it's kind of amazing to think back, wow, America went through such tumultuous times, and look at where we are today, where we're still going through very tumultuous times.
So finally, my final question is, you had a number of opinions about when those tapes are released in 2027. You had various opinions on how you think it will be perceived by the public afterward. My fear is exploitation of the tapes, obviously, in this digital era that we live in. But what is your opinion about how maybe his legacy will change once we're able to hear these tapes, which we perceive are very salacious?
Here's my take. I think you listen to some of these tapes, and obviously there'll be some salacious material on it. But the thing to remember, there'll be other things on that tape too. There'll be his discussions with his lieutenants, with Wyatt T. Walker, with Ralph Abernathy, with Fred Shuttlesworth, when they're in these different cities, when they're in Birmingham, when they're in Albany, when they're in Selma, about strategies that they should be implementing in these cities. Well, where should they march? Who should be leading this particular march? What people should they be trying to engage in this march? Where should they do their sit-ins? Where should they have their sit-down protests? I mean, I think that might be some material that we want to hear, and hopefully on those tapes. So
there will be a rich vein of history as well as whatever else.
I think so. I'm hoping there will be.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2021.